Hi everybody, welcome to Comsverse. I'm Marco Cortese, I'm the sales manager of MIDA Solutions. If you will have any question during my presentation or later on, you can find my colleagues at booth 3. So let's go. Hi everybody, welcome to this session. We are going to talk about the connected contact center with MIDA console for Teams, and which are the specific advantages of implementing all of this in a direct routing approach. But first of all, who is MIDA? MIDA is at most a young company. We have been founded in 2004. We are based around Padova, close to Venice in Italy. And our target is to provide applications, services, and solutions to be put on top of EPPBXs. And now I think that the best reference is Teams. So providing application and solution that should complete the offer of the voice routing and basic management. So what we have been doing, we have been implementing several applications for like attendant console, call center application, recorder, fax server, but we will see them later on. Our approach at the end of the story is not to substitute the PBX, but to work with the PBX and to add more value and applications to the PBX itself. Where we work, well, nowadays physical boundaries and constraints are no more relevant, so we work all around the world. First of all, because all these applications can work in cloud, can work in Azure or any virtual machine environment. And at the same time, we have been building in the last 15 years several partnerships with important partners, and both technology partners and commercial partners. And recently, I think that one of the most significant is the one with Ribbon, that is a SBC vendor. They make a lot of things. We have a very strong relationship with them, so we can provide our solution on top of the SBC, the Ribbon SBC. And at the same time, we are in their price list. So it's not only a technical compliance, it's also a commercial agreement that lead us to work all around the world. But why use direct routing? This you have been seeing that this is one of the topics of this session. Why using direct routing in a contact center environment? First of all, because the migration of your applications and of your contact center and UC application to Teams is much easier. It's this architecture is very simple and allows to implement everything aside of the existing infrastructure, and they've moved everything with a finger snap whenever everything is okay and it's working. So don't worry, and you will not be in a hurry to manage everything. When you're ready, you can move on, but you can do it in very short times. I think that the other very interesting point is that these architectures allow to complete what we call the Teams picture. That is, Teams comes with its own environment, with its own processes, and everything is up and running, but 99% customer will need some more application. Contact center is the first one, but it's not the only one. It can be the attendant console, it can be the fax server, it can be reporting, billing. There are many applications that we have been working on in the last 15 years that what we can see, they are still needed by customers. They are migrating voice to Teams, but they still need such application. We will see this in the next slides, but this is for sure one of the most important things. Thanks to this architecture, we can some way complete and fill such gaps. I think that another interesting point for the direct routing architecture is that you can preserve your service providers. You do not have any link to move to one and the only one provider of your telephony. You can still keep this link in your hands. Then you can today work with one service provider and tomorrow with another one, so that you can have, the best service that you need. And you're not, you do not need to do exactly what the only one service provider will tell you to do. The other interesting point is that this solution is available worldwide. It's not, that it's available only in some places, in some countries. This application, this architecture works everywhere. And this, for most companies that have probably offices in different countries, may be interesting, because they do not need to change the approach and the solution depending on the place of their offices or the headquarters, wherever they are. But let's go a little bit deeper on what is MIDA Call Center. MIDA Call Center is just one of the applications that we have in our virtual machine. That is a kind of framework that includes a lot of applications. As I told you, we have been working for 15 years with the enterprise, public administration, finance, with several markets. So we have been filling application gaps also with other technologies. And we have a list of applications that is managing incoming calls with queues, with messages, with some supervisor consoles, with an operator console that helps in having more efficient and effective workplace for the user, and IVRs, so automated attendants, however you call them, recorder, voice recorder. Now we are also working on video recording, and you may understand that a contact center is just a mix-up of all these features that we have been developing and let them grow during the last 15 years. Now we have a specific cloud contact center proposition. And I don't want to say that this is part or this is not part of the contact center, but another couple of very common applications, mainly if we talk and we work with service provider, they are fax server, that means fax to mail, mail to fax. And billing is not really the correct name, is just reporting, traffic reporting, that is more and more needed by users, because they are leveraging the infrastructure on the service providers one, but they want to understand how the traffic, the voice traffic is moving. And all of this is now available also for Teams. And this is very important because it completes 360 degrees offering on Teams environment. Just a couple of more words. I don't want to bore you, but from the architectural point of view, all of these applications are available in the same virtual machine. And this virtual machine may be Azure, maybe VMware. It's not relevant. It depends on the needs of the customer. It can be in cloud or can be on-prem. And the point is that everything is inside this box. There are no third-party licenses or complicated things to provide. Obviously, since this application may address also big customers, we have very big customers with thousands, tens, thousands of users. This means that the same application, the same solution can be deployed in several virtual machines, can be distributed depending on the traffic, on the load. So we can reach very important levels of reliability and high availability infrastructures. Okay, let's share some interesting information on our platform and solution. I think that are much more interesting than going in technical details, since we all know what must have a contact center solution. We have it, otherwise we would not be here talking about that. I think that one of the important things is that it's very easy to deploy. I've been working in call centers since probably 10 or 15 years ago. And we were used to manage call center, deployment in terms of months, years. And now customer needs it in terms of days, weeks. So the most important thing of this platform is that it can be available in terms of days. And I think installation can be, let's say, managed in terms of hours. Then we need some configuration, training, stuff like that. But we can be very quick with the customer. The other important thing is that Microsoft Teams customers are used to, to use the Microsoft interface, so Teams interface. So we have our console, but we developed a brand new one inside Teams. This is to address users that do not want to have another application. They may have Teams that is, let me say, enabled with a contact center console inside that. And you know that user interface may be much more important than critical features in the server part. And this choice that we made to be inside Teams is giving very interesting results. The other point that is relevant in terms of the contact center solution is that we connect the, let's say, the voice routing part or the contact routing part to the external application. We will see that one of the most important things is that Teams is covering the first part very well, but is not filling the gap with the business logic, with the applications, or it can, thanks to some software that like Mida solutions that can manage that. So we can pop up, for example, incoming calls to Salesforce or Dynamics. That's much more common in Microsoft environments. A final interesting point is that we obviously have all the reports and statistics inside our solution, but what we have been learning in years of contact center installation is that each customer probably needs its own report. What the meaning of a single report can change depending on the routing of the call, of the installation, of each customer may have a different meaning for that numbers. So what we decided is to give direct access to such information to the customer with specific views and to promote and let be very easy the integration with customers' business intelligence. Power BI is, I think, the most common example in Microsoft environments. Okay, so far so good. What we have been seeing now seems perfect and addressing all customer needs. But I want you to say that this may not be simple. We need to know it to share some important information because this is what's behind our approach. And this is because we want to be effective in our proposal to the customers. So what's happening in the world now? Pandemic changed the world probably and just accelerated something that probably was already happening. The first point is that customer had their own PBX, VoIP or TDM, whatever it is, their application, their business logic, their processes, everything was working fine. Then they needed to start to work at home remotely and with the pandemic, but once again, it would probably happen in any case. And what happened is that Teams was very, very good in covering this gap and addressing this need of the customers. So Teams arrived very, very strongly, and we had millions of adopters around the world in the last couple of years. But what happened is that this broke the integration with all the customer applications and customer processes, customer business logic. So our approach is, okay, we did this since 15 years. We know which are the applications. We know how to integrate them with the PBX. So why not putting it all together and, how we say, give the application back to the customer. So here's the final picture where we have all the voice part that's managed by Teams. We have an SPC that's some way linking all the parts and subsystems, and that's some way the central part of the direct routing architecture. And Mida comes back again in the bottom of this picture, giving back the application and services to the customer. So once again, the customer can have his attendant console, it can have a fax server, can have the call center integrated with the backend and processes and stuff like that. So this is our role. Let me say just one more thing on this, that is this architecture, as you can see on the right, allows also a step-by-step migration. That is not that we need to do everything in a night. All mid application can work with the old legacy PBX and can be viable also during the migration path that at the end probably will finish with a 100% Teams users. But this is just the final step. We have been working with several big customers and we know that this path can need months to be completed. Some more information on our connected contact center platform. First of all, we decided to certificate that and join the certification program with Microsoft, because also this part may be relevant for some customers. What I want to share with you is that we have different models and architecture, not only from the technical point of view, but also from the commercial point of view. This means that we can have different licensing models that can be lifetime licenses or let's say call center as a server licenses in an OpEx model. It depends, and from a technical point of view, I think that one of the most important things of this platform is that it's a must-have now, but I want to say that we have it, is that everything is usable from remote, wherever the user is, from the administrator to the supervisor and to the end user itself, the operator, for example, of the call center. Or let's say, for example, if you want to receive or send faxes, you can do it with your smartphone, wherever you are. And once again, all the solution can be set up in terms of hours. And so you can have a go-to-market that is, correct for the needs of the customer of 2021 and in the next future. Okay, as I told you, we can address different needs, and needs are not only must not only be intended in terms of features. The application, okay, it's the fax server, it's the attendant console, it's the call center, the recorder. But if we are approaching an end customer, then we have to satisfy some specific feature, let's say compliance recording, or we need encryption, compression, stuff like that. This is must be also, for example, for a service provider that is going to resell this service. So this still remain true, but the needs of the service provider are different, can be even more complicated. So I think that another important thing is that our technology has been built in a multi-tenant approach from the beginning. This means that a single customer, a single instance is, let's say, a specific case, but we are working and we will work with several service providers, and I think that the most important thing is that they just need one infrastructure to give these services to hundreds, thousands of users. And as I told you, we have scalable pricing lists. They can be also OpEx, not only CapEx. And so it's a kind of pay-per-use. So there's no big investment at the beginning. And also the physical placement of this application is not linked to be only on Azure. It is, obviously, it's a suggested environment, but it can be also in other cloud platforms. And let me say just a final thing. Okay, on the service provider, let me say just one thing more, because it's very important. I think that this approach allows service provider to build this solution in a very, very short time, and they do not need to invest tons of money, and they can grow with the customer. And so it's the pay-per-use approach helps in the service provider to push the solution. But the other thing that we have been seeing is that when this is not only a game, okay, we start with 1, 2, 3 customers, then if we are going to have 100 customers, as it happens, we need also to optimize processes. And when I talk about service provider, obviously I'm talking about provisioning and commissioning. So another very important thing on our solution is that we have the northbound APIs, we have all the APIs and the stuff to be integrated with the service provider processes, so that with one click, then everything is pushed and the provisioning is goes on in terms of seconds, minutes, and does not need some human to enter the name of the new company of the new tenant. But once again, we do not have to have the full skyscraper at the beginning. Let's start with the interesting pieces or bricks, as I say, and so that the investment is small, and then you can grow on top of your business, not the business of MIDA. Yes, just a final thing on the from a technical point of view is that mainly with the direct routing approach, our architecture is by definition non-intrusive. We have been, growing with the old TDM solution. This was some way the most important rule. If your application crashes for any reason, calls should go through in any case. If I have to call the police, if I have to call the emergency line, I have to do that. So if my queuing system is not working, this should not break the telephony routing. And we still have this approach, and we will keep it, I think, also in the future. I don't see why change it. And I want to underline this because the more we go in the cloud, the more it seems that telephony is a kind of application. There's some culture that is lost in the last years. Instead, reliability, services, and granting basic calls still remains the first point. So our approach is whatever it happens, calls should go on anyway. So going a little bit deeper on the attendant console, as I told you, we have been working with that for 15 years, and we have our browser embedded console, so it does not need any installation. But obviously, as I told you, once we stepped in Teams environment, the first thing we did is just rebuild it entirely to work it inside Teams. So there's no additional browser, it works inside. And we decided to give even more information, some statistics and some reports inside the Teams console itself. And we have been bringing with us another feature that seems not so relevant, but at least in Italy it's very important, in Europe, that our applications are certified for visually impaired operators. Obviously, we still keep integration with corporate directory, and in Microsoft Teams, the most common is Active Directory. Okay, so I'm giving you just a quick view of what is MIDA console inside Teams. And I don't want to bore you with details, but as you can see, you have on the top some relevant information about, how many calls are in queue, the longest waiting time, if there are VIP calls waiting, and my status, if I'm available or not available. In the middle, I have all the information of the directory, so that if the caller looks for Mr. Rossi, then I need to look for Mr. Rossi, understand if he's available or not, and then we have it because we have now been integrating also Teams presence. On the top right, we have the queue management, so the operator can log in, log out on all queues, or even if he's working for more than one queue, he can choose which queue he wants to be logged in and out. When call arrives, it's a standard Teams call, so you have the pop-up, you can answer from there, and if you want to make advanced phone call management, you can go directly to Teams console, because once again, we do not want to substitute it, but to be fully integrated. We work inside Teams, the phone is Teams, we are not substituting that. Okay, so as I told you, we also added some statistics that are generally addressing supervisors. So what we have been doing is, okay, these are important because can give some more responsibility to the operator, because he may understand that he's the only agent on the queue, or because there's a call waiting since 10 minutes, stuff like that. So we gave all these standard call center informations, also to the agent, obviously with the limit on the queues that he's working for. But let's see another important product that we moved to Teams, that is MIDA Recorder, that allows voice recording. Since one of the top 3 application and needs for customer moving to Teams or to cloud voice is voice recording. First of all, let me say that we can address different approaches to recording. That is total recording, on-demand recording, passive or active. We have several terms, and recording is not a single feature. It may have to address specific requirements also in terms of user experience in activating or deactivating the recording of conversations. The other point is that we have what we call an umbrella approach. That is, we have a unique central solution that can manage different subsystems. That may be Teams, that may be Skype for Business, for example, that may be Cisco or other, let's say, technologies. This is very useful because even in the migration to Teams, there is probably a path that's involving an old style PBX, and so we have to grant recordings from also from the endpoints and telephones of that environment up to the ones of Teams environment. And we can manage, as I told you, Skype for Business, Teams, Zoom, several protocols, and we have been working with critical environments like airports, like railways, with banks, in finance, and also in security and emergency environment. So we have to face different protocols, different needs, different regulation. But one thing is common to all of these environments is that whenever you need to look for a recorded message, you need a very intuitive, easy, quick interface because you are probably in a critical situation. So what we did, we paid and we rebuilt completely what we call it the search and play engine and the environment. So now it's available via browser, and you can search for the recorded messages depending on the subsystem, on keywords, tags, and stuff like that. You can retrieve it in a finger snap. Another thing that I mentioned before, but it's more and more important, is that it's not only a matter of recording, but we need to do it in a compliant way with regulation. Our recorder has been built addressing needs from GDPR, PCI, MiFID in finance environments, and let me say that gives to the customer the tools to be compliant. A final point is that we paid a lot of attention on security, because nowadays it's more and more important while we are moving application to the cloud and outside our company. So we must take care on the security of our application, and for recording is even more important. So we have, for example, features like anti-tampering of files. We have obviously auditing. We have all the tools to track and manage security of a recorder solution. But what about the recorder solution on Teams environment? MIDA Recorder in such environment is connected to Teams subsystem through the SBC. So this application can record all conversation from and to the PSTN, or let me say all the conversations that are passing through the SBC. But what we also had to face sometimes is also to record Teams to Teams calls. And as you may understand, such calls are on a higher level that do not pass through the SBC, and so we had to implement a specific module using specific Microsoft APIs, and now it's an additional module of the basic MIDA recorder, and we can also solve and approach and address such needs. Once again, all the platform is virtualized, so it can be available in cloud, on premises, or in mixed environment. In this case of the recorder, we may need some specific architecture where the application and the recorder runs in cloud. So let's say the service provider implementing MIDA recorder has the recorder in their own cloud, so it's not on-prem of the customer, but the customer, because of problems of privacy, ownership of the recorded messages, asks to have such recorded messages not in the cloud but in their own premises, or let's say in the private cloud or different places. So another important point of our solution is that we can divide such requirements. We have the engine and the recorder running in some place and messages stored in another one, or maybe also the opposite. You can have the recorder on-prem, but you do not want to keep the storage there because of not only for privacy but for costs and prices, for example, and you want to store everything on Amazon, for example, then we can do that. The important thing, once again, recording is just the first step. All the important features are all the features that are all around of that, and we work on them since 15 years. I'm sure we have what we need to address customer needs. We spoke about SBCs. As I told you, we have a very strong relationship with Ribbon. It works very well, but obviously we work with all the certified SBCs for direct routing. So as you can see, we work with Oracle, Patton, Italtel, AudioCodes, AnyNode, and the one that you see in the top right are the next in the list. I already introduced you this information, but we fortunately we are receiving more and more this question: where to buy MIDA? I think that the most simple approach is you can buy MIDA from Ribbon price list. That's very simple, and you can find Ribbon everywhere on the world. So I think that this is the best way to approach that. But this is addressing only the, let's say, the commercial approach, that is where I can physically buy. But at the end of the story, as we said, MIDA works on top the SBC. The SBC can be Ribbon, but we can find different SBCs. And so we generally need some more activities, or maybe there's a partner that's going to manage the SBC itself. So we have, obviously in Italy, we have the main part of our partners that are Comtel, Italtel, Matic Mind, Microsys. We are working very well with them in Italy with the teams. And we have also partners worldwide. So it depends on what you want to buy. I mean, it depends if you're an end user, if you're a service provider. So we can talk with Lab3, we can work with FVC, or we are also in the price list of BT. And this obviously list will grow hopefully more and more and very quickly. So I'm at the end of my session. I hope you enjoyed our speech, and mainly the MIDA console and call center for Microsoft Teams. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on our websites, and we will be very happy to support you and to understand, once again, not the only solution, but to find together which is the best and most effective solution for your needs, because they may change time by time, customer by customer. So thank you once again, and hope to see you soon. Bye.